Good morning. Good morning. Thank you, everybody that have joined this live. Good morning, everybody. Hi, bom dia, Moçambique. Seja lá onde você estiver. Well, gentlemen, I just came aware of a situation in Tanzania, and I didn't want to just let the situation goes away without uh, give my point of view to some of you to understand what in reality is going on in Tanzania, especially for us people from Mozambique, Mozambique, Kenya, Uganda, and the lakes, the great Nyasa lake, we interconnected somewhere somehow. But the issue I'm trying to bring to you today is there is a chaos in Tanzania, and that there is not time ago, as you can see the background of this life, you can see many posts in my background. This is what happened in July 2024, October 2024 elections in Mozambique. So does this have a pattern? Does these relate to each other? Yes, indeed. Indeed. I have been reading many different uh, cables from different magazines, newspapers, and most of them, they're not trying to uh, look into the big picture of the Southern Africa politics, why these politics in Southern Africa are going so mad, and there is this youth revolt against these kind of people or governments. Well, I have done some research, to be honest with you. I have done some researches, and one of the things I came across was an explanation about what really is going on in Tanzania, what they have to do. Uh, Tanzania have held its general elections on the 29th of October 2025. There is the key point where you have to stop and realize 29 October 2025. What happened in October 2024 in Southern Africa? On the 9th of October 2024 in Southern Africa was Mozambique elections. How those elections end up, what happened, the reflection here in my background. The same issues trigger the problems of elections in Mozambique are the same issues trigger these elections in Tanzania. Well, it is October a course for the old politicians, these liberation movements. Well, I don't know. It's up to you to misjudge or judge this. Yes, indeed. Good morning, good afternoon. My name is Mos Sempapa Nalingwa. I'm from Mozambique. I'm looking this in retrospective, what happened in my country, and then subsequently what's going on. Yes, indeed, I do have a channel that I look lifestyle, and I do talk about different things. Maybe you have seen the channel. Uh, I am Mos, where I'm talk about this guy Marwa in Kenya. But today, my UBC, somehow, somewhere, I'm talking politics because you are African, you live in the diaspora, and you live just nearby. And this, what's happening in Dar es Salaam, might affect you, might affect many others. So awareness is good, and this make you understand and take a decision. But let me read you a fact here, very interesting. Why this is happening in Tanzania? This is quite interesting. Do you know Samora Machel? Do you know Frelimo? Do you know John Kenyatta? Do you know Kane Krumah, Agostinho Neto, Roberto Mugabe, Nelson Mandela, uh, Sanjoma, Oliver Tambo, all these people. Well, when we young, we thought that these people they're great leaders, but time shows us something else. What these leaders has left to us is a chaos. But let's to go to the context of Tanzania. What's happening in Tanzania right now? This is quite interesting. What's happening? Well, Tanzania held these general elections on the 29th October uh, 2025. The ruling party, Shama Pinduza, in power since independence, remains the dominant force. They are the rulers, complete rulers, undisputed rulers, like Museveni tried to do in Uganda, where does not let a Bob Wine become the next president, the new generation. But in Tanzania, the key opposition figures and parties are barred, excluded in the 10 ahead elections. What this tells you, the same story, some way, somehow. This is not the situation in Burkina Faso. This is not the situation in Mali or Niger. This is situation in Mozambique. This is the situation in Zimbabwe. This is a situation even now in the parliament in Cape Town in South Africa. They're discussing about killing squads. The NC had political killing squads. So look, listen to this. Okay, on the day of the election, a near wow. How the signal of internet all of a sudden went dead. Anyway, I was trying to read you something here that on the day of the elections, these Shama Pinduza blocked the internet, disrupt, and apply complete chaos in the country. Just a blackout. What that was meant, what that the same situation in Mozambique, that they want to just manipulate the election results. And the protests erupt. Commercial in Dar es Salaam and other cities clash with security force, curfew, military deployment. This is a technique. All these movements of liberation start apply dictatorship, full control of the situation. But in Tanzania, what is going on is something here quite interesting that in Tanzania, these are spread all over the country. So, what the government is trying to do in Tanzania, this is where you have to be curious. The problem here is most of the information existing surround these protests about Mozambique is in Portuguese, but is parallel. We had these youth, the Z youth in Kenya, some while ago. Now we are having the same youth movement in Tanzania, we had in Mozambique, and South Africa is going in the same road. South Africa, they already start with the Dudula operation, all this xenophobic stuff. But this is quite interesting here something. Is the government of Tanzania asking and order many people, public servants, students to stay home, working from home for security reasons? Why? Why the government of Tanzania is doing that? Because they're trying to manipulate the election results. But let me tell you something else that is quite interesting about Tanzania, where many people they don't understand what's going on in Tanzania and why Tanzania has reached to this point. Well, Tanzania explodes political for one reason, lack of credible electoral competition. What means? With many challenges, bar or jail, many citizens feel the outcome was premeditated. It's true. As the standard summarized, Tanzanians are on the street because are tired of bad elections. What they call an election is not, it should be. That is point one. Point two, grow frustration among young and in the widest society. Point three, shrinking civic spaces and repression. God, I didn't believe that. That means media restriction, internet blackout, arrest of opposition actors create and suffocate the atmosphere, social atmosphere, political atmosphere. Even though the current president, Samia, appears to ease restrictions, lift bans on opposition rallies, may now believe the rollback is complete, the reversal. Anyway, this is really, really sad what's going on. Like number four, loss of legitimacy and trust. With elections perceived as unfair, system of power sees as entrenching, people might feel they have no peaceful way to effect change. This is the cause of leading this situation in Tanzania. What this could mean, the government will likely emphasize security, curfews, deploy of forces, internet control. The opposition might try to mobilize more broadly, especially youth. Social media usage through risks is high due to repression. So the repression now is the main driven force, and this was the same in Mozambique. Daniel Sharp is not a legitimate, a constitutional president. Just in the south of Tanzania, we have a constitutional president running a country. Somebody is not been elected, but he says to the international, "I've been elected." No, he used violence. He elected himself. But so this woman now in Tanzania is going to elect herself, not the people of Tanzania. They're going to elect them or she. The violence, repression is going to elect that. That is the same Museveni going to do in in Uganda. So I don't understand why the Europeans preach democracy, rights, and support those governments, finance these governments. But on the back door, they're talking about the democracy. It's quite interesting. Anyway, this is a problem. So what this matter? Tanzania is one of East Africa's largest economies and plays significant regional role. Instability has ripple effects. Yes, for the citizens, the issue of fair representation, government accountability, freedom of expression, and economic opportunities are the front and center. I don't know. This, my ladies and gentlemen, this is something here we need to understand that the situation in Tanzania gonna bring some ripple effects not only in Tanzania. I'm glad that this is happening in Tanzania because this will transform the way Southern Africa politics. This shows us there is a beginning of transformation. Even they use repression, violence. We are in a path of freedom. The Southern African countries are in a path of freedom. They are doing something completely that different, and that effect will bring a new revolution. This generation of leaders, the old geezers, they're gonna disappear, and their families and friends and their parties will disappear with history. This has been proved. Mozambique is an example. Zimbabwe, it will be next, and so forth. So here, what is going on in Tanzania is a reflection, a wide reflection that the movements of liberation, they are lost. They don't have nothing to offer. And then by not understanding this, we Anyway, I'm back. There is a problem here with the signal internet where I am. Anyway, Nixon Meresha, the old African politicians are blind to the present dynamics of politics. Over 200 years, people killed, but the protests continue. Indeed, thank you, Nixon, for following my channel, and please carry on. Time to time, I'm here. But I'm looking at this. Subsequently, what's going to happen? Malawi has opted for a democratic part of elections. Zambia too. That is well done, I can say to them. But what we are seeing in Rwanda, DRC, in Uganda, in Angola, Congo Brazzaville, Congo Zaire, and Namibia. Now this is affecting South Africa. South Africa even have these democratic elections. They call transparent. We now know in South Africa the ANC had a squad of political killings during the election to suffocate so they could not. But Jacob Zuma made something very interesting by splitting from the ANC and create his own party and get out. He divided South Africa, and that shows how weak the ANC is. Now, in Tanzania, the question is, what will be next in Uganda? Mozambique, we know the thing is boiling. We know the president is not constitutional. Frelimo is scary. Frelimo is depending on the money of the Americans, weapons, but are the money and the weapons the willing of the people? No. So here is the same situation. Will be the people, because you can't control a nation. When the people decided you must go, they will fight. They will fight and fight and fight and fight until you feel the pressure and you make a small mistake, and that mistake takes you to the end. Thank you for watching. If you have liked my video, please leave a comment, and also uh, like and share it with your friends. That is my point of view as Mozambican. This, what's happening in Tanzania, is the same reflection happening in my country in 9 October 2024. So what is happening 29 of October 2025 in Tanzania is not new, is the truth of reality. The youth want freedom. The youth want to be something else. The old geezers, the old mentality doesn't not work. The big bellies have to go and let people have a chance of building new societies. Thank you for being here, and don't forget it, visit my channel more and more when you can.